Good morning, I'm J. Lenora Bressler, and welcome to the November, 15, 2017 edition of the Bible Delight in the Details. We have been looking at the 5 offerings established by the Lord through Moses at the tabernacle and then later at the temple. And we've been talking about the fact that these offerings are precursors or harbingers of the work of Jesus Christ. Today we're going to look at Leviticus 5, the final of the 5 offerings. It is known as the guilt offering, and it is particularly meaningful because it really does point to what Christ would later say in answer to the question, what is the greatest commandment? You may remember what he said. He said it is to love the Lord your God with all your heart and mind and soul and strength, and to love your neighbor as yourself. We see both of those commandments in the guilt offering of Leviticus chapter 5. The offering was for those who had sinned. First of all, it talks about sinned against the holy things of the Lord. Now, what are the holy things of the Lord? In our modern day, we would say that is anything that is particularly to be revered and to be honored because it is associated with the Lord. So if you find that you've ever done something, perhaps you unintentionally took the Lord's name in vain. Perhaps you did not give God the portion of your resources, your time, your effort that he deserved. Maybe you have been not giving him the time that he deserves for your prayers and your communion with him. The minute that you realize that you have not given God what he deserves as far as giving reverence or treating appropriately the holy things, you should ask for confession. You should make confession and ask for forgiveness, I should say. And that is what is addressed first with the guilt offering. But it's more than just that. There's a recognition that you owe a duty of good faith and caring to your fellow men and women. And so the chapter 5 goes on to talk about if you find that you have treated a fellow person unjustly, even if at the time you did not realize it, even if it was unintentionally, when you realize that you have harmed them, when you have sinned against them, the minute you are aware of that, you are to go and do 2 things. Yes, you are to make a guilt offering. You are to confess it to the Lord and ask forgiveness of the Lord, because sinning against your fellow man is a sin against God. It is against the will of God. It is against the law of God. So yes, when we mistreat our fellow men and women, we are also sinning against God, and we must confess that to the Lord and ask him for forgiveness. But it also talks about that we must, that very day, it says on the very day that you bring the guilt offering, you must go and make restitution. You must make good what you have done, the harm that you have done. But then also you are to give more than that. You're to put them not just back in the position that they were before your harm occurred to them, but you are to give an additional 1/5, something extra, so that you make them whole, and then you make them even better as a recompense for the damage that you caused. It's fascinating that we are told right there very specifically, you must do that at the same time. Later Jesus is going to talk about that. You may remember that Jesus said, if you've sinned against your brother, go first and reconcile with him, and then come together and worship the Lord. There is a direct connection in God's mind between how we treat our fellow men and women and worshiping him. If you do not love your fellow man and you do not treat him and her right, then how can you claim to love the Lord? How can we love a God we have not seen when we do not love the image bearers of that God who we interact with every single day? Something to remember today and every day. I'm J. Lenore Bressler. Visit me tomorrow for more The Bible, Delight in the Details. Have a great day.